Hi, guys. If you're joining us, we are again resuming our daily segment where we kind of go over some of the unemployment issues. If you hear any of this noise in the background, that's the family trying to eat. We're trying to clear them out. But we'll be joined by Jeff Jacobson momentarily here to go over some of the questions that we continue to get in related to PPP, unemployment, and other issues that people are asking about and that need to be discussed. Looks like Jeff is here. I'm going to pop him up right now. Jeff, your signal looks great. We got you popped up. And how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How about yourself? It's good the kids are active.
Yeah, exactly. They're looking for things to do. They just got off their teleconferences, and now they're looking to see what kind of chaos they can cause around the house. But any new developments that we need to talk about today?
So, not really new. The PUA went into effect yesterday. The rules, the policies went into effect. It's been a long time coming. April 10th, the federal government had their regulations on how PUA should apply. Getting questions with people on can they get unemployment and the PUA. And the state of Illinois has said no, if you're receiving unemployment benefits, you can't. Although that being said, let me go through the quick calculation, and I'm trying to turn something down. The quick calculation, so it's under the PUA, it's 47% of your income, and it's capped off at, I believe it's $457 without the dependency benefits. So the federal pandemic funding of $600 if you get unemployment benefits will exceed whatever you can get for the PUA. So if you can get unemployment benefits, normal unemployment benefits, you want to stay with that because then you get the $600 federal pandemic benefits instead of the $457 PUA. So that's what I'm, recommending to people, and they don't have any choice. Unfortunately, April 10th was when the regs came out on how this should apply. Thursday morning, the spokesperson for IDS said you probably should apply for unemployment if you're going to go for the PUA, and now people are being told they can't apply for the PUA until they apply for the unemployment. This probably should have come out shortly after the April 10th regs telling people to apply for regular unemployment. Although if you're a 1099, if that's all you are, if you're an independent contractor, I can't find any rule that says you have to apply for unemployment benefits and be denied. The rule says if you're not entitled to benefits, then you're entitled to PUA. And if you're a 1099 and that's it, you're not entitled to benefits. So, and then Raza, the other issue is some people aren't getting their back pay yet. So I'm trying to find out what's going on with that. They're entitled to back pay. And that's a big problem.
What kind of issues are you hearing with the back pay?
Well, they're not receiving it. So the back pay, they applied, they were severed or furloughed or not working because of the governor's order. I believe it was on the 21st of March, and they're not receiving the back pay that they're entitled to. So I don't know what's going on with that, trying to figure that out.
Okay.
And it's, yeah. And, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with that. We still have litigation over the governor's order, whether it's valid or not that it would matter. Congress has they're working on their fourth bill to help people out with this COVID-19. And then, bear in mind, so my expertise is in Illinois unemployment, employment, labor law, not other states. I was just talking to someone today who was talking about Wisconsin's regulations. It's a lot more restrictive, and that's the problem. Some states are a lot more restrictive on what you're entitled to. Some states are a little more conservative, so that's why every state is different, even though this comes from the federal law. So have you been hearing anything from some of your union members?
It sounds like, at least at this point, most of our guys have been able to get into the situation where they're set up and things are going well. Some have qualified for PPP. Some have been able to get onto the unemployment. So from that extent, it sounds like a majority of our people are taken care of. I know this is a constantly evolving situations with other companies either closing or opening back up. So it's ever evolving, but mostly for our people, it sounds like they've been able to get through. And looking at some of the questions here, it looks like some of the wait times seem to be going down, which is not surprising. We're not seeing those kind of wait times that we were seeing initially. But yeah, I mean, essentially, those are the developments on our end.
Yeah, and it's, you bring up an interesting thing with the payroll protection program. So if you're a sole proprietor, or a 1099 independent contractor, you can and should have filed for PPP. My understanding is, as of last Saturday, there was still plenty of money. I doubt it's been done with at this point. So you should apply. Go to your local bank, contact them, see if they handle PPP. Sometimes the process, I've been hearing people in a week, if they get all the documents quickly to the bank, are getting the money from the PPP. It's very beneficial. It is a loan initially, 2% loan. However, if you use the money if you're a 1099 or sole proprietor, if you use at least 75% to pay yourself, and I don't know why you would limit it to 75%, but you certainly can. And the rest goes towards rent or utility or mortgage payment for your office, then it becomes a gift from the federal government. So the calculation is whatever your annual normal income would be. So you would submit from your IRS, Schedule C, 1040, whatever has the information on it. You're entitled to 2.5 times 1 month's lost income. So that could be significant. If you make $10,000 a month and you've lost because of COVID-19, you'll get $25,000 that you have to use to pay yourself, rent, and utilities, and then it becomes a gift from the federal government. So I would definitely do it. I have a feeling the reason there's money available is for 2 reasons. One is the Congress has submitted more money for it, and 2 is the large corporations that had law firms and accountants all prepared for it and were able to file right away. A lot of them have been giving the money back. Jimmy John's, Ruth Chris. I mean, there's $30 million there that they gave back to the federal government. I have a feeling there was a lot of bad PR for these large corporations. So I strongly recommend you take advantage of these benefits like the major corporations. So if you're a sole proprietor or 1099, there's a lot of things you can do, and those are some of them. So, hopefully for those that are listening to this, either right now or they listen later, they'll at least get the message to apply for the PPP. Obviously, companies have. A lot of people are not collecting unemployment benefits because they're still getting paid. And then, and we'll talk about, again, because I'm not sure which videos people are watching, Raza, but if you will receive 47% of your average weekly benefits, there's a cap and there's a minimal. So you'll receive that plus a dependency credit for if you have a non-working spouse or dependent children, you receive a dependency credit for that. But if you just take your average weekly benefit amount and your employer pays you that amount, then you're not entitled to unemployment benefits. If you're entitled to at least $1 of unemployment benefits, then you get the $600 federal benefit.
Okay.
And, as we talked earlier, that exceeds the PUA. So if you're a 1099 and a unemployed person, even if only a small percentage of your income is from unemployment, that $600 shoots it way up, and that $600 far exceeds what the PUA would be. So if you had a choice between the PUA and the $600 federal credit for UI, you want to stick with the $600 credit. You can't get enough under the PUA to exceed the 600. Little math, accounting, but those of you that are getting UI, and then once again, a lot of people are being told they have to wait to be rejected. They have to file their claim and then get rejected, which is a little sad.
And that's just to get them in the system for when everything's going. Is that what the thought process was behind this? So
you can go under the PUA and check new claim and go through that process. But the IDS has said that they want you to first be rejected. I can't find the rules, regs, or law that says that. Once again, the law just simply says you can't be eligible for unemployment benefits. So it looks like the system is hardwired, so you have to file for unemployment first. You have to get denied. And Raza, as you know, that's taken a long time. And once again, people need this money now. It's not so they can save for vacation. This money is to pay their mortgage, pay their rent, buy basic food, not get fine dining. It's 47% of what their normal income would be. So it's not a huge supplement. So to wait a week, 2 weeks, months is not beneficial to the people that are applying.
Now it's 47% of the income. Until what level? What's the threshold? That was a question that I did get from a colleague.
So I'll pull up the actual thing. I think it's $457 is the most you get.
Okay.
So
and is that different state to state, or is that a federal guideline?
No. So it's completely different from state to state. On the benefits, and we talked about a long time ago that that's why you should look at what state you're in and what state you worked if you get the choice. Sometimes the benefits are much better in one state over another. Let's see if I can get and I apologize for not memorizing the total, the maximum amount.
And while you're doing that, I'll throw this out there. I know we do have people from various different states watching this. If you need any information as to the number to call, that's scrolling at the bottom. We have Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan. Those are the states we primarily concentrate on. But if you're watching this from other states as well, as Jeff has said, there's a lot of similarities with the federally about how these work. So as much as Jeff can answer, we're going to try to get those resolutions out there to you again. And I know some of you have regularly watched this program. Some of you might be new. To kind of explain to you what we're doing, it's myself, Raza Siddiqui. Sometimes we have Sara Sadat with us, and Jeff Jacobson, who's a former appeal judge for the Illinois Department of Employment and Security. On a daily basis now, 11:30, we're doing this week. We've been kind of going over some of the various questions that people have. Now, there's two ways to get those questions answered. You can, in the comments, write your questions. We'll get those answered for you. Or secondly, you can click the link on top. That'll enable you to pop up either in video or just pure audio and ask your question yourself to Jeff, because I think it's very important, the nuances and the specificity of your question, to be able to get those answered. And that's what Jeff's been here doing. This is now our second week straight doing it daily on weekdays. Prior to that, we kind of did it as needed, as wanted. And we're going to continue to do this as long as we can. Jeff, it looks like you have some resolution to some of those questions.
Well, so the table is for the most recent one I have is $458 is the maximum weekly benefit amount you can receive. And then with a spouse, if you have a non-working spouse, it's $545. That's, though, your weekly benefit amount is a key number, which is $450. If you receive $450 in wages, you're not entitled to benefits. And then with a child, it's $627 is the total weekly benefit amount you'll receive. So that's the maximum from the tables. But you can quickly figure out for your annual what you make. Take 47% of that on a weekly basis, and that's what your benefit amount will be. So it's there's no way in the world you'll be able to beat the 600 because it caps off.
All right, got a couple questions coming in. Does processing payment mean your payment should be issued within the next 2 to 3 days?
So normally that's exactly what it means. Now it means you're going to get your money soon. So, I don't know. I know I've been hearing, so it used to be, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, it was taking a couple weeks to get your payment. Now it's coming in sooner. I think 12 days is the longest I've heard. And hopefully as they improve the system, it'll be much quicker. But yes, the processing or deposit doesn't mean you have it. It does mean you're going to get it.
All right. Looks like we got another question coming in. I'm on penalty weeks and was told that I have to wait it out, but worked 14 hours and they say that my wages are more than my WBA. Now I am ineligible.
So the penalty is because the person has applied for benefit in the past, wasn't entitled to it. So you get penalized when you apply a second time. You've done something wrong in the past. The 14 hours, the money probably exceeded the weekly benefit amount, so you wouldn't be entitled to benefits for that week. So that's the problem with that. And once again, so we'll go through this too. So the example I use, the easy one, is $400 is your weekly benefit amount. If you make $401 in wages, you're not entitled to any benefit from unemployment. If you make half of that, $200, you get to keep the $200 and your $400 benefit. And then there's a formula for if you make between 200 and 400 and how that impacts you. So in the 14 hours, you may have exceeded your weekly benefit amount, and that'll happen. One of the examples for your year of wages, you were making $9 an hour, and now you're making $100 an hour. Once again, I'm embellishing, so 14 hours would far exceed what your weekly benefit amount is.
All right, we got a couple more questions coming on right now. What's the status of the PUA system?
So it's up and running. So people have applied yesterday. May 11th was the date, and I think by 7:30 in the morning it was up and running. Haven't heard a lot of problems with, actually I haven't heard any problems with people being unable to get on. What I heard problems with is answering the questions, some confusion, where they need to go. And then it's not easy to find the page to go for unemployment. And I actually, I might show while we're answering these questions how to go through to apply. So why don't you give me a few more questions while I go through this?
Sure. Well, Kevin says that I was on non-monetary status, but after I sent a letter from my employer to help my case, I went on ineligible week status. It got worse for him. Is that something that you've heard about, Jeff?
So, well, I mean, that happens. I mean, there's all the laws. I would call the local office and find out what happened. If you believe it's wrong, then you need to file an appeal. That's what you obviously need to do. So either file an appeal or contact the local office and find out why they've changed it. So I'm going to go through, Raza. I'm going to share the screen.
Just one quick thing I want to remind our viewers is that we are covering a couple different states at this point. Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan are the regular ones we get questions in from. We occasionally get it from other states as well. I think we've gotten Texas, California, Nevada. If you ask your question, please do put what state you're from. That'll help Jeff specifically see if the answers relate to your state, or we can get a more general answer. But I think that will be a helpful process. And again, just procedurally, you can ask your question in the comments like I see many people doing. You can also click the link on top, which will allow you to come up and ask your question specifically to Jeff yourself and get the nuances of your specific problems out there. Now, Jeff, I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were saying?
No problem. So we'll get to the questions in a minute. I just want to show people how they can get to the idea. So I'm going to share this screen. Let me know when it comes up, Raza.
All right, let's see if I can't pull that up here. All right.
There we go. Okay. So then let me go over. So this is a screen. You've got a bunch of choices. The handbooks here, it's, a lot of it. So you're going to want to select an individual, and then you're going to go to unemployment insurance, and then up will pop a screen. There we go. And then you're going to go down, file for regular unemployment insurance. That's not exactly what you're doing, but that's where you'll click. So this is one of the problems that people are having, and you're supposed to watch this video. Okay. Once you watch the video, here's your choice on the right side for file for pandemic unemployment assistance. That's where you would go if you want to file for it. And then I want to also point down here on the lower right, it looks like a chat. So right down here where my mouse is flying around, it looks like a chat. It's actually email. So if you have a question, you can put your phone number, your claimant number, your question, and I'm being told within 2 days someone will call you back. So that may be more efficient than waiting online, but I would do both. I would wait online and send this out. So then you would go file for pandemic unemployment assistance. You'd click there. And then it'll have a choice at the bottom. Yeah, it keeps popping up. Please certify you understand the program and potential benefits. So you need to go through the potential benefits. Once you are, you certify there, and then you'll file a claim for PUA. And then up will pop whether you're an existing claimant or a new claimant. So, depending which one you are. And that is how you file for unemployment as a PUA. All right. So go back to that, and now we can go answer some of the questions.
Certainly, and it looks like we got a couple coming in from we had one from Nevada.
That's okay. So I can talk about the federal law. So under the federal law, Brian, and it's the same for every state. If you're not eligible for unemployment benefits, you're not eligible for the $600. So you won't be receiving it. If you get 1 penny, it gets rounded to $1. If you get 1 penny in unemployment benefits, you get the $600. So you need to have a benefit amount to get the $600. And you need to contact someone in Nevada if there's any legal questions you have, because I can answer that. And I would contact the local office to ask about your problem.
All right. And one thing I'll also mention, because I think occasionally it looks like I'm looking down on my phone. And the reason for that is because while this is being streamed on various groups on Facebook, it's also for our viewers who are not on Facebook, also streaming on YouTube. So occasionally we do get questions as are coming in right now. Getting back to some of the YouTube questions, because I see the 3 dots that show that the question is still coming in on the text. But what we already see here, Lila asks, I was 40 hours full-time job and now I get 362 from unemployment. Now they need me to go back with only 25 hours. Does that mean I'm going to lose my unemployment?
So I don't know if your unemployment benefits are $362 and you receive $362 in wages, then yes, it's you won't be entitled to unemployment benefits. That's the same problem with people that are getting the employer's got a PPP, or the employer's just paying them to stay home. Once the number exceeds their weekly benefit amount, they're not entitled to benefits. Or they go back for full-time work.
Okay. And just another reminder as well, while some of these questions come in, we're also affiliated with the Illinois and Indiana Unemployment Guidance Group. And on occasion, when the questions slow down here, we'll go and answer the questions that have been asked there. Jeff is also a frequent contributor there where he will answer questions. So if it's not within the hour live streams that we do daily, you can get your questions answered there. And as I mentioned, then I'm going to go and kind of look through some of those as well. And let's see. Yeah, I think this is probably a good time to do it, unless you also have anything in general you want to say, Jeff.
No, go ahead.
All right, let's see some of the questions that we have coming in. It appears I will get more answers here than the actual. So here's what it says. Apparently, if your ID is expired, you cannot register. You have to call, but you're calling a number that no one answers. Now what do we do?
So what was the first part? And what expires?
Your ID code, like the ID code. I'm supposing, because they didn't say specifically, but I'm supposing it's I'm not exactly.
User ID and password. So if it's you don't know what your user ID and password is, you need to call in to get it taken care of. If it's your PIN number, you can go on teleserve and get that changed. But that's unfortunately the only way. I can say they are answering the phones. It's just very hard to get through. And now with the PUA, it's probably even harder, even though they have 100 new people now answering the phones. But yeah, you're going to have, that's the only way. I would use what I showed earlier is that chat feature to say if you're with Illinois, to say you need to get your password or user ID corrected. Someone will call you back with knowledge about that question. So if you're in Illinois, click on that chat feature, send your email, and then call every day, and eventually someone will call you back from the state.
All right. Let's see here. Matthew says, my mother is self-employed daycare provider, and I filed for her. It says she qualified for $0. When can I file PUA for her?
So in Illinois, the PUA started May 11th, so it's yesterday. And I'm getting a lot of these, getting a lot of text messages and calls. Hey, Jeff, when is PUA going to start in Illinois? And so the answer is it's now. The part of the problem is when you go to, as I've showed people here, and go back on this video, you'll see it. When you go to the state of Illinois to file for PUA, it says file for regular unemployment. So it's kind of hidden, but that's where it is. So if you've been lucky enough to watch this video, you know how to quickly file for the PUA. And for those that are listening, asking the question, if you missed that presentation, just go back a few minutes prior, watch the video, and it'll show you exactly how to file for unemployment benefits.
All right. Let's see if we got a couple more coming up here. I know we got a couple.
So, Raza, how do I tell people how do I direct them to this video for today?
So this video for today is streaming on the Illinois and Indiana Unemployment Guidance Group. So many of our viewers, I think, are watching this on the Illinois and Indiana Unemployment Guidance Group. It's also streaming on some other groups which have picked up the feed, but I think that's probably the best way to get.
But if they're not watching it live, like tonight when people call me, do I tell?
So this will live on that group, but it's also streaming on YouTube on the Life, Love, and the Grind page. So if you go to the Life, Love, and the Grind page, kind of that logo you got back there on YouTube. As a matter of fact, I believe all the seminars are close to the, it must be close to 15, should be residing there right now. So that would be another place that they can go to, whether or not they have Facebook. And then these also live on the Illinois and Indiana Unemployment Group as well. So both of those are good resources to direct them to. And here's a question we got from a YouTube, and speaking of YouTube viewer. Did he already address that if someone as a sole proprietor with no employees in Illinois applies for a PPP loan, gets those funds, will that impact the unemployment benefits? Someone is approved for W-2 or PUA 1099 side. If so, how in terms of weeks, amounts?
So if you're eligible for regular unemployment, then and you get the $600 federal pandemic amount, you're not eligible for then the PUA in addition to that. And as we've been pointing out, the $600 for the federal pandemic far exceeds what your PUA is. So, it does financially, it makes no sense to argue you don't want the federal pandemic, instead you want the PUA. But you can't get both of those federal benefits. Once,
And it looks like Jeff may have frozen up there. This has happened on occasion. I'll just kind of tell him to refresh his browser, and then he'll be back with us. In the meantime, we do have other questions coming in as well. So let me just real quickly. And another thing I think we could probably do is maybe get him on speaker until we can. Okay, great. Sounds good. No worries at all. And Jeff will be with us momentarily. In the meantime, actually, this is a great time to go over some of the procedural stuff about what it is that we're doing. So we essentially, myself and Sara Sadat, when she can join us, I'm a union vice president, and Jeff and I kind of have started working together where he was helping some of our sports workers, their industry being decimated, kind of figure out in various states how to get upon unemployment and how to make sure that procedure is going. And it was a complicated process, and he was very helpful in answering that for our people, for which I'm forever grateful. He also helped Sara Sadat help people in the community as well and get questions answered, because obviously in a situation like this, there's a lot of questions, and anything we can do to get that information out there. I think Jeff is waving that he's ready. But I think the most important thing was he had the expertise. Sara and I had the technical knowledge about how to stream these answers. So it became a collaboration. And so many people were interested in getting this information that we've kind of made it a daily segment. We try to get an hour a day where we can get these answers out. Jeff's back with us, so I will let you, Jeff. I forget if you were in the middle of a thought. If you are, I'll let you finish that. And then we get some more questions coming in.
So this is probably one of the reasons there's union people like you, because I set up my broadcast studio and forgot to plug in my laptop for power. So
These things happen.
Yeah, I don't remember everything. And I apologize. I forgot where I was. I think I might have actually finished the explanation on the pandemic. I'm not sure when my laptop went down.
All right. Krishna asks, case is showing now pending, payment after weeks of saying open, no money. You know what? I don't quite get this. Pending, is that a good thing? I don't know, Jeff. Can you make heads or tails of that one? Do you see? Does a question pop up on your end as well?
So pending payment should mean that you're going to be receiving the payment. That's a good thing. I don't know. There's probably a little more detail. I think you went to the website and that's what it says, pending payment. I don't know when you filed, but if it's been more than 2 weeks and you haven't received anything further, I would definitely, call a local office. You are supposed to get a local office determination as to what your benefit amount is, and that you're getting a benefit amount. So if you haven't received the letter and it's been a couple weeks, I would also contact the state to find out where the money is, because they need to mail it out. And things are happening faster than when we first started this, Raza, a month ago. So follow up with the state.
And as we anticipated, we may have some more influx coming in with appeals decisions and maybe more delays in that avenue as this kind of stabilizes. Have you heard anything about that, Jeff? Or where the real wait times are, or does it just seem generally still kind of all over the place?
So it sounds like the wait times are not as bad as they were, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. They're still bad, though. It's, there's a lot of people that aren't getting through. There's a lot of people that aren't getting money. And I don't know, depending on how long this lasts, I don't know where the additional money is going to come from. They're allowed to loan from the federal government. I don't know where all this extra money is going to come. Not saying the sky's falling, but this may be a tax problem for employers and maybe 1099s next year to pay for this. I mean, I think we're up to $3 trillion in benefits. And I find this, I don't know where the numbers are going to come from.
All right. Jeff, you also talk about a webpage where you have some resources. Could you kind of go over that a little bit in case people want to know more about how they can keep in touch with you? We are going to be doing this daily as well, so this is a good platform, but you have some other avenues as well.
Right. So if you need an application, if you need to file an appeal, those forms can be pulled off from my website, jeffjacobsonlaw.com. That's JEFFJACOBSONLAW.com. You can also reach out to us at 331-222-9529. I'm trying to get to as many of the calls and emails as I can. Obviously, I'm getting inundated with it, but it's we have the appeal form because some people are going to need to do that. And, we have it there. You can also get it at the IDS website, or if you're in a different state, you should be able to download it from your state, the forms. For IDS, you can fax it in to file an appeal. You can mail it in. You just have to do one of the other to get it to IDS. You have to do it within 30 days. So you have to put it in the mailbox before the 30 days expires. Otherwise, whatever decision you're appealing, it's final. You cannot appeal anything after 30 days.
Okay, Jeff, just one more time. You said that was jeffjacobsonlaw.com. And what was the phone number, please?
331-222-9529. And this is if you have, feel free to call if you have a very specific question, that's very, very unusual. At least you think so, because, I'll try to answer it. But if you're calling to figure out where your money is or some secret phone number, that's just best you call the 800 number that I believe is scrolling along the bottom.
It certainly is. And a lot of these questions that we have answered, that Jeff has answered, and other answers that are out there by other people who have kind of experienced the answer to it and have posted, can always be found at Illinois and Indiana Unemployment Group. That's kind of the Facebook group that we are affiliated with, that can kind of serve as a resource when we're not doing these live streams. Like Jeff said, if you have very specific questions, this would be the way to contact Jeff. So keep that in mind. That's something that if you're not getting your answer here, if there's something more private, that might be the best way to go. So these are all resources.
Right. And I'll answer the Wisconsin question. So it's been 6 weeks and it's being reviewed by adjudication. So here's the process. When you file unemployment under the federal law, the state is supposed to get your money right away. But then there's an adjudicator that makes a decision to whether you really are entitled to benefits. And sometimes they find that you're not entitled to benefits and you have to pay back all that money they've paid you. Other times they find that you are entitled to benefits and then you just keep receiving your benefits. You'll receive some document that says this has been the determination by the adjudicator. If you're waiting 6 weeks, that's way too long. You should be receiving the money right away, and then at some point an adjudication decision is being made. So I would contact whatever state you're in and find out what's going on. Because the other thing is, I don't know how the system is. Your file may be just sitting somewhere and was forgotten about, so you need to push to make sure it's getting done. Hopefully that's not happening in Illinois. So hopefully that answers it.
Well, Jeff, I think
I can go through the next step, Raza. It's so if the local office finds and determines that you're not eligible for benefits, then what you can do is, if you disagree, if it's wrong, you would file an appeal. There may be reconsider by the local office. It's the same form. In Illinois, you're never reconsidered. It's always an appeal. If you don't like the decision, and this goes for both employer and claimant, if you don't like the decision of the local office or appeals, you can then appeal to the Board of Review. If you don't like the Board of Review decision, you can then appeal as an administrative review in the trial court. By the time all that winds down, hopefully all your local trial court will be up and running. So, and I know in a few weeks, almost all the counties, I think in Illinois, the trial courts will be up and running. A lot of them already are. And actually, the Supreme Court is hearing arguments. I think they're actually done with the arguments. They're hearing the tax documents from President Clinton. They were hearing 10 and 11 o'clock Eastern time today. So courts are up and running.
All right. Not in the traditional way, but in this new reality that we find ourselves in, trying to get the communication across, just like we've been doing these virtual town halls. You got to find a way to get that information, whatever circumstance you find yourself in. And you're doing that.
It's going to be interesting times. So while the Supreme Court is not the usual way, I think it's far better. So you used to have to sit in the courtroom to hear the Supreme Court arguments, which means you'd have to fly out to Washington, D.C. You'd have to hopefully be able to get into the courtroom. Now you can tune it on and listen to it live anywhere in the world. So that's incredible. And I hope they don't stop doing that. The other thing that I heard today is the ex-presidential candidate Yang was talking about the fact that a lot of these jobs will not be around ever again. That corporations, and he said got a bunch of friends that are CEOs of large corporations. He said their goal is not to have headcount, but to improve profit. And they're finding through this, what's going on is they can get by, they can function without all the employees. So he thinks that there's going to be a lot of companies that aren't hiring these employees back. And it's sad, and it's going to be horrible for these individuals, their families, and the country. So
what's really sad is, again, we find ourselves in a situation where profit comes above people, and like you said, the headcount becomes the major issue regarding some of these multi-million-dollar companies that, let's face it, will probably survive this economic downturn, whereas the mom and pop shops, which occasionally or more likely cater to the community, are a fixture in the community, are a sanctuary for workers who they sometimes treat as family, are the ones who end up suffering. But again, the PPP, I think, is out there to try to help those. And that's the information I really want to get out. If you're a small business owner, if you're a staple in your community, if you're not the multi-million-dollar corporation, but you're someone trying to survive for your community, for the identity of your community, these resources are out there for you. I know that's what I'm very passionate about getting the message across. Jeff, I know you're passionate about getting the message out in general to the people who can utilize this information. And that's why let's keep this going, Jeff. This is important. This is important to keep not only our community afloat, but the businesses that are the identity, that are the crux of this community, afloat to survive throughout this process. And so thank you again, Jeff, for doing this daily for us so we can get this information out there.
Right. Well, and you're right, Raza. I mean, we hear a lot about it. The barbershops, the beauty salons, those people are being hit hard, and hopefully they have applied for the PPP. If they're 1099s or W-2 owners, they have applied for unemployment benefits or the pandemic assistance. Hopefully they've, been either watching this or friends of theirs that have been watching this and been telling them about it. But, let's all try to get the word out to everyone to help those. I mean, there's a lot of people that keep saying, oh, I didn't know that I could do this. I didn't think I could do this. And, there's resources to help them. And no way that the 47% is going to make up for their lost income, but they need help. I mean, the line. So this is really beneficial. So hopefully everyone, not just us, gets the word out on all these benefits.
Jeff, you want to take Dylan's question real quick? I know we got to wrap it up here, but why don't we take Dylan's question and then put out a quick reminder that we're going to be back here tomorrow, the day after. We're going to be out here daily as long as we can to get this information out there to make sure that our community, and that's our small business community, along with our viewers who have found themselves unemployed right now, that they get the information they need. So we're going to keep this going. Jeff, yeah, if you want to take that question real quick, let me find a banner I want to flash up here real quick as well.
Sure. So Dylan, you asked an interesting question. So unemployment has to do with your last work. So it appears from your question, your last work was as a 1099 in Illinois. Because that's your last, you don't want to be referencing your W-2 because that's just going to mess it up. You just want to reference that the last work was, as a 1099. In the place to file for unemployment, there's an opportunity to fill in information. and you want to fill in that you're not eligible for unemployment because you're a 1099 worker. You also want to put down for where it says the last date of employment. You want to put down the date that is a 1099 you stopped receiving income or the income was reduced significantly because of COVID-19. Do not start putting in your previous employer from a long time ago. So, and I think you said it was November of last year. So it's not applicable. Unemployment has to do with your most recent work right now. So hopefully that answers it. Too many people have had their last employer was like 2 years ago or 6 months ago, and they're putting down information for their last employer. Just messes things up. Although you could, and then you'll get that $600 if you're entitled to benefits, you'll get that $600 federal pandemic money. So, you do the best you can. So those are the two choices. I don't think you should be putting down the last employer, but if you do and they give you benefits under UI, then you get the $600 additional too.
All right, Jeff, we got one more question, and we'll make this our last one for today. We'll pick it up again tomorrow. We are going to be doing this daily this week at 11:30 a.m. Question we have right now: will the PPP loan funds that somebody gets impact the unemployment benefits they were already approved for, whether it was on a W-2 basis or under the PUA 1099 basis?
So under the W-2, the PPP is considered, if you pay yourself or someone pays you, it's considering wages. So it will impact the UI benefits. And if it's a 1099, you're receiving the PPP under, according to the state of Illinois' definition, the money that impacts your weekly benefit amount is wages from an employer. So 1099 money is not wages from an employer, and so it's not reportable. So it depends on what you applied for the PPP for, whether you applied it as 1099 or as payroll or as sole proprietor. Sole proprietor and 1099 are not wages, so that would not impact it.
All right. And I think that that's pretty responsive to the question. If not, please do feel free to tune back in tomorrow. And I'm actually going to specifically text you Jeff's number too. And I'm going to put that out there again. If you have specific questions that weren't addressed, you can contact Jeff at 331-222-9529.
You're on the ball, Raza.
You know what? I figured it's time to get this. I'm finally learning how to do this in Sara's absence. Usually we divide who does what, but we're all going to have to learn how to do this, especially if we do this on a continuous, ongoing, daily basis. You might find me answering questions because as much as I've done this, I feel like now I have at least a shallow depth of knowledge as to how to answer. And then dealing with my members as well, answering their questions, I kind of know some of the majority. But the important thing is the three of us are dedicated to getting the answers out there, so we'll figure out how to do that. You can contact Jeff at 331-222-9529. Another resource is the Illinois, Indiana unemployment group. That's where we kind of live with these answers. That's where we draw a lot of the answers that are not coming in live. So we're dedicated to getting the questions resolved for you guys as we go on with these seminars.
Right. And once again, if you've listened to this part and haven't seen the earlier part, go back, rewind. I show you how to file for the PUA in Illinois. It's not easy to figure out, which is why I did it. So it'll be on this video.
Well, fantastic. So, Jeff, I guess I will see you back here at 11:30 tomorrow to answer more questions, to resume some of these just to get the information out there. So again, thank you for joining us today, and I'll speak with you tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys later as well.
And thanks everyone for your questions. See everyone tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.